Okay guys, we've got a situation here where I've now got to the question down just for our own just logical reasoning that we're hoping to achieve in terms of the formula that we've just basically gotten to learn. So I've written down here a typical example, just painting up like a particular situation for us to just have a sequence of figures to work from. So if it's not too clear, I'll read it out. If it's not too clear, what I'll tend to do after every single whiteboard, maybe I should likely just, before I just rub off everything, maybe I'll also start getting to the habit of taking like snippets of what I had written on the whiteboard, and I'll have a separate slide of pictures within our slides, within our lectures. I'll basically just do that just to actually help you see it from like a close-up angle, because I would imagine maybe you would likely not see other parts, because I know I've kind of like written in a cookie which is very, very thin in there. But anyway, I've painted a situation, so maybe if you also listen up to what I'm saying, that could also help. So I've kind of gotten to come through a demonstration that I tweaked somewhat, just so we don't get into trouble with anybody if that's not allowed. So I've gotten to say in this demonstration, it's an example. It reads as follows: Gogo Load Pty is a registered bank that deals in the service of loan services as well as check requisitions. So based on those two components of loan services and check services, you can automatically just work out that, okay, the one is an exempt service, that being the loan services, and the one is a standard rated service, because it's not stated as being an exempt supply or a zero rated supply or a denied supply. Therefore, it must be standard rated supply, that being the check requisitions part that we basically mentioned. So that would be a standard rated supply. So based on the turnover method, they make 70% taxable supplies and 30% non-taxable supplies. They decided to sell the whole building. In its original use, and the building was then sold and to a particular buyer who will continue with the activities in a similar manner. The sale will also comply with the requirements of a going concern. So the price will be determined as follows. I've written that one down here on the side in a bit of red, and I've gone on to label the first line item to be fixed property. In brackets, I've put in L and B, which is land and building. 20 million rands, that is the figure below. Then I've gone on to come up with another line item which I've termed furniture and equipment. And the price tag on that part is 2 million rands. And I've finished it off with another line item which I've termed cafeteria. And the actual cost, the cost price that I've put down there is 1 million rands. I think I would have said sale, yeah, sorry, there is no sale portion there. These are all amounts that are basically valuations for all those particular assets. So in terms of all of these, they are in relation to our business, which is partly making taxable supplies and partly making non-taxable supplies. So based on this, from the information that I get, fixed property from what I basically know, it would be standard rated, and it looks like furniture and equipment looks like it's standard rated as well. And cafeteria, from my knowledge, what I basically know is that cafeteria has to do with us going out there to eat, having all the goodies, assuming that maybe, yes, assuming the actual company also gives us food for free and all of that. So that would be something that we enjoyed. So that would obviously come in the form of entertainment. And we're not in the business of entertainment because we're a financial institution. So that would make it entertainment to us, which would make it a denied supply. So that would make it a denied supply. So I think we basically getting somewhere. So how do we basically have to now know what kind of output VAT adjustment can we get through to? So we've just written down the actual formula that we designed in our prior slide. So we start off with saying total cost of all supplies, or total costs of the going concern is based at how much. So we basically going to say, okay, the total cost of the going concern is based on 20 million plus 2 million plus 1 million. So the total cost, it looks like we're looking at 23 million rands, right? Then what we know is that we have to less the portion which was either an item that did not earn any input VAT on it, or it was either an exempt supply or input VAT was denied, because exempt or denied. So it looks like entertainment. So in this regard, we're going to subtract 1 million rands, and that would mean we left with how much? We now left with 22 million rands. So at this point, based on what the formula tells us, it tells us that now we need to bring in what? We now need to bring in like our taxable supplies, and we basically would have our taxable supplies, and we'd apply a percentage to our taxable supplies. So we apply the percentage of our taxable supplies, which is 70% of our taxable supplies. The taxable supplies, we understand that it is actually 2 million. It's not surprise, right? It's 22 million because we got it by saying 20 million rands plus 2, which is the actual net figure of having taken out the denied supply. So 22 million less that times 70% would give us how much? Times 70 times 22 would give us 15.4 million rands, right? And we'd subtract that from 22 million rands. Subtract that from 22 million rands. It's easy maths, but I'm too lazy to think. Left is 6.6 million rands. 6.6 million rands. Right, then we have to apply the VAT percentage, 15% to that figure. Then apply VAT to that. And VAT adjustment would be 990,000 by the looks of it. Yeah. So our VAT output VAT adjustment would be 990,000 rands. And that would be our VAT adjustment. Does that make sense in terms of where we are? So that's basically what we basically need to be processing in terms of the actual buyer having to actually recognize this portion as output VAT. So you would have been allowed to have the 70% of the actual building, which is 15.4%, for no VAT at all. However, you would have now had to account for the exempt parts of the VAT, which was not originally claimable. Now you would have to actually pay for that, which is basically his part, and he's paying a VAT adjustment of $9.90. So if you're listening to me right now, you should be realizing what I'm saying is really not making sense, because he's paying VAT for an item which originally did not claim any VAT because it was an exempt supply or a denied supply. So that is a bit unfair, isn't it? That's why there's gonna be in future lessons a change in use adjustment. So that change in use adjustment, that gentleman, the actual buyer, he'll actually get to process it once he sells the actual going concern or the actual business